Have you ever wondered why some of the most eye-catching album covers have mostly nothing on them? Now, that is the magic of minimalism. But why does simplicity work so well? I'll tell you. Focus! And that's what we're going to be exploring today. Minimalist cover art is all about stripping it down to the essentials. It focuses on simplicity, using minimal elements to make a big impact, okay? So let's break down some of these key elements that make a cover minimalist. The first things first is going to be simple typography. Clean sans serif fonts with ample spacing. Sometimes it can be sans serif fonts if the cover doesn't have too many elements, okay? The next is going to be a limited color palette. That often means just one or two colors to make the look clean. Another one could be using negative space efficiently. The strategic use of empty space to draw attention to the focal point. Now, when a cover has focus, it directs the viewer's attention to the main subject. So let's try some of these concepts to create some flame. We're just gonna hop right into it. All right, first things first, what we got to do is we got to go ahead and drop in some of those characteristics. Like I said, I found these two images on Google and pretty much I just dropped them in and started placing them where they need to be. I like the fact that the Chicago skyline was looking like straight, like up at an upward angle. So it kind of fit like where she was at. I could have left it like in the middle, but I just wanted her to take up most of it. Like I said, to focus and bring the focus to the center of the image, which would be her face. Now after that, all you do is click the like remove the background. So I took the background out. I didn't play around too much with like removing the hair and all that stuff. It looked really ugly, but I was like, oh, this is a tutorial, so I'm not taking too much time into it. If it was a professional cover, obviously I would take the time to fix it up, but I just want to show you guys the concept for real. Make sure you're selected on the main image. Then you're going to go filter, camera raw filter, and then we're just going to make a few slight adjustments. So all I really did was play around with like the exposure, the clarity, and bringing in some texture into it. And I really wanted to give it like a vintagey, thresholdy feel. Nothing too crazy, but that was just really the idea. So we're just going to go ahead and make a few adjustment layers. First one we're going to do is going to be the levels one. So just go down to your adjustment layers, create a new levels. And then this one, all I'm going to do is really just push it to the right a little bit just to bring up some of that blackness and make it like a, not like gray, but like wash it out a little bit because it is like a vintagey type of image I wanted to go for, or for the effect, the color effect I wanted to try. Play with the underlying layer. When you click on blending modes, move it to the left, and then you're going to just stretch it out by clicking Alt on the keyboard and stretch it out across. And then you're going to get, as you can see, it's going to pretty much just adjust the shadows for the one that we just moved. So as we made the blacks and the shadows lighter, then we're going to make another one. Make sure you clip mask this all to Angel, so it's only affecting the Angel Reese layer. Then you make another layer, put that layer underneath, and then we're just going to bring back some of that black that we just took away, but nothing too crazy. But as you can see, it still looks kind of like faded, but it's not too harsh. Now let's play with the curves a little bit. And now with the curves, all you're going to do for this is bring that far point up a little bit, and that's going to bring like a faded vintagey vibe to it. And that's pretty much all we did with that. If you want to play around and do like a slight little S curve, you can click on the button and then just bring it down. So like I said, some of those shadows and blacks come back a little bit, but you still want it like vintagey. So you see how it's darker, but it's not like too saturated. I guess that's the word. It's not too saturated. It's just still faded, but those blacks are still pretty strong and show us the shadows. Next, we're going to go with selective color. And then this is where we're going to go up there, click on blacks, and then you're just going to move the blacks over to the right. And then that's going to bring you like, it's going to bring some of that saturation back into the blacks while still giving you that vintagey vibe. And make sure you click on relative too, so it attacks the whole image itself. All right, so now what you're going to do, I went ahead and added like a black and white layer. So then we can go ahead and play with the blending modes, and we're going to once again play with that underlying layer to bring back some of those colors. But as you can see, it's only attacking the shadows. So it's bringing back some of those, I don't know. It gives you like a thresholdy, vintagey vibe. That's the best way I can explain it. So I just played around with those till I found like one that I wanted to do. And when you press Alt and you drag that underlying layer, it brings back the smoothness of whatever the underlying layer is affected. So now we want to go ahead and add a little bit of the finishing touch on there. All I did was create a new layer, Shift F5, fill it with gray. I added a little bit of noise to it just to give it, like, once again, that vintagey feel. I feel like all vintage has some sort of grain in it. So this is just an easy way to add grain. Like I said, if you want to, instead of doing this every time, you can just go ahead and save one or find some grain online and then just drop it in here. All right, and then I set the blend mode to overlay for the noise, and I dropped down the opacity just a little bit, just so it's not overbearing. And then I went ahead and grouped all those layers into one, called that the Angel Reese layer. Now we're gonna work on the background a little bit. All right, so I did like it, but I felt like it was a little flat. She has blush and highlights in her face, so I did go back and click on the camera raw layer to bring back some of those highlights in her cheeks by upping the clarity a little bit and upping the texture a little bit. So let's move on to the background. On the background layer, really, all I did was make sure I copied and pasted all the adjustments I just made for the Angel Reese layer, and I put them on the Chicago layer because it's pretty much the same. Like I said, I want the same effect for everything. I just didn't want it to affect it all at one time. I wanted them both to have their own layers because I still had to go back in and adjust some things. So first things first, we go ahead and add a gradient map for this. I use my ODM Blue Sky Gradients pack, which is on my store. If you want to support the channel, I would highly appreciate that. But anyways, I went ahead and did that. I went ahead and reversed that. And then for me, the blues weren't really matching up. So really, I just tried to make sure the blues match a little bit better. And I wanted that sky to be a little bit darker, like a blackish vibe. So it looks like it's at night. And as you can see, the photo was taken during the day, but with the adjustments I made, it looks like more of a nighttime photography look. As you can see here, I really like this base. So then from there, I want to feel like she's rocking this world, like Chicago's shaking ever since she came. So all I did was go to filter, blur gallery, and I went to spin blur, and I made a few adjustments. You could play around with the blur angle, stuff like that, stretch it in, stretch it out, the feathering of the effect and all that stuff. So I kept it normal. Normally I would have set it to like color dodge or lighten, but I liked how the normal feel it just felt better. I wanted to look like it was actually spinning on the layer. So I did want to add like a pop of glow in there. So then I set my main foreground and background colors to black and white. I went to filter gallery, diffusion glow, and I just played around with some of the clear amount and the glow amount settings. And for that, I did no grain. And then all I did was duplicate that layer because I wanted it to be on top of the Angel Reese layer and on the bottom of the Angel Reese layer. So then I can, mask it out and affect only parts that I wanted to affect. But I didn't want it to look like, oh, she came out like a warm hole or something like that. I did feel like it was missing something. So back, if you go watch my gradient tutorials that I just did, I did this like gradient glow thing. So I just did that for the Angel Reese layer as well. I just wanted to put a slight glow behind her, but I still wanted the gradient to still match the color palette that we're in, which is the white, black, blue. So I just pretty much did that. And like I said, go back, watch that tutorial to figure out step by step how to achieve that effect. Also, still use the same like gradient that I used for the background. So like I said, the colors and everything matched up. The only thing for this is when you set it to screen, it doesn't always work with the underlying layer if it's not a black layer as the main base. So just make sure whatever color it is on the far right that you take that and make it black. So when you screen it, the glow effect pops through. So then you have the two main colors and then the other color to like make sure it screens and works on the layer that you're trying to affect. Now for the glow, the inner glow, you can do the same thing. Like I said, tutorial already did that. But I wanted to add a little inner glow, and instead of doing a solid inner glow, I did a gradient inner glow using the same gradient maps, like I said, so all the colors match up. And then you just got to make sure you set that thing to black, so then when you set it to screen in the blend mode, in the blending modes, that it, like I said, it will affect all the layers underneath. And then for this, I just used the groovy gradients. Also, I remember to set it to center. I played with the choke, played with the softness of the sizing, so it's not as like harsh or whatever. Because like I said, I still want it to be like coming off her outer glow pretty much. And I think the glow came out really good right here. I felt like it was good. If I wanted to, I could have used the pen tool and just kind of like brushed all around it. But I was like, you know, let's save some time. And like I told you guys before, I set that other layer on top, that other spin layer that we made. I duplicated that and I created that mask I said, you guys. And I just wanted to make sure I erase anything that affects like her face or anything like that. I really just wanted it like the waist and like the arms, really. And lastly, for the finishing touch for this particular one, all I really wanted to do was add like a gradient from the bottom to the top to, like I said, give it like that faded feel, just to clean it up a little bit. And all I did was do some of the whitish gray out of her jersey. And I just used that. And I used that to gradient to transparent layer. Lastly, but not least, like I said, I really only wanted to use these 2 elements to create this. But I felt like it was empty without the team logo. So I just threw the team logo in the right hand corner just to make it look official. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like this one came out pretty good. I'm not really even mad at this one. It's pretty cool. I like it. I like the colors. I think it's like a nice way to just get in there. Like I said, if you want to even go further with this, you can. But the whole point of this is to show you how sometimes less is more. You can create a cool design not using 50,000 elements. Pretty much all this is like, I could count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 main layers, and then you got a few layers inside of it. So bada boom, bada bing. To be a great artist, it's always best that you know your history. So let's go over some iconic minimalist covers before we create our next design. In 1939, 2 immigrants founded the Blue Note record label in New York City with a mission to create unforgettable and soulful tunes. Back then, it wasn't just the music that caught your ear, it was the album cover that grabbed your eye. Blue Note's bold colors, intimate photos, precise typography define the jazz look of the 50s and the 60s. The 2 main creators of this particular style were photographer Francis Wolff and designer Reed Miles. While Wolff captured the soul of each session, Miles went and turned those into iconic album covers. His innovative use of photos and typography made each album cover its own particular piece of art. From Hank Mobley's No Room for Squares to Joe Henderson's In and Out, Reed Miles' covers were dynamic and memorable, blending photography with playful and bold typography. These covers weren't just packaging, these were jazz and visual form. And that's what you want your audience to feel when they see your covers. For cover number 2, let's hop right into it. I really wanted to go with A Boogie with a hoodie. Shout out Hybrid, shout out BX Burrow. He just came out with an album. He's on tour currently, Better Off Alone tour. So I felt like I don't really never see no A Boogie graphics out there. So I was like, oh, let's give A Boogie a shot. Why not? So this one, I really want to go with like a 3-tone color palette too. So I really went for the reds, the blacks, and the grays. And I really just used white as like a complementary color, just so it doesn't get caught up in the colors and everything like that in the actual midst of the design. This one is still minimalist too. I kind of went with a tour graphic type of vibe, but I really didn't want too much going on. I just wanted to be very, very simple. And I wanted to go simple and really emphasize the thoughts of minimalist covers or minimalist design as well, is because when you're working like with companies or like artists and stuff like that, like they'll give you like 24 hours, like literally 24 hours, maybe even 8. Oh, we need a graphic right now. Like, do you have something ready?
I learned a while back that if I don't text 911, people will not return my calls. But now people always return my calls because they think that something horrible has happened.
Can you make something? Like, you got to be able to think quick, think on your toes. Sometimes you don't got time to be sitting there and outlining things and brushing things for days and hours and making all this stuff. Sometimes they'll give you a photo and be like, do something with it. We need to make this announcement. So I just want to give some ideas towards those designs. Yeah. So I set him up on the left side. And then I went ahead and created a rectangle, turned that rectangle red. Then I just removed the background from A Boogie to get him, singular. Sometimes it's not always perfect. So I go ahead and mask or some of the image back into the image or whatever. Now we just got to add some of the threshold to give it some of the feeling that I want to bring back. Because you can't just throw a gradient map on there and be like, oh, fire design. Sometimes you just want to give it a little bit of taste without doing too much. So what you're going to do is go to camera raw filter. Then you're going to go straight to grain. Even though the image is already grainy, you need something that you are in control of a little bit more. So for this, for the size, I pretty much went 25 or 2025. It all depends on your image. And then for roughness, I went all the way pretty much to like 78 to 100. And then what you do is create an adjustment layer, create a threshold layer, and that's gonna affect all the layers underneath, obviously. Make sure you do duplicate your main image. I feel like anytime you make some sort of adjustment, you should always go ahead and make a duplicate just so you always have something to go back to. And make sure you always keep it as a smart object, because companies and people love to change an image. Love to change something in the last minute after you spend hours and hours making adjustments to what other image that you had. But either way, you're at their beck call, so just make sure you're ready. All right. So for the threshold, I'm really just trying to bring some of those highlights for in like the shadowy realm and bring some of those back, because those are the ones that we're gonna pretty much color, and that's pretty much what you're gonna see. Now, what I do is I went ahead and I converted them to a smart object. I took the threshold layer, and then that second copy that we made, created one layer that's going to create a nice threshold layer that you can control. I went up to color range and I selected just the blacks, and that's what's going to give you that weird looking mask right here on the right. And then what you're going to do is pretty much click the mask button. After you click that mask button, it's going to give you like a weird looking saturated grayish. Now is the fun part. Go ahead and create that gradient map or whatever. I use the groovy gradients as my base. I really just wanted to go for, like I told you guys, like a red, black, and gray. So I went ahead and clicked one of those and adjust the layers a little bit. I went with this red to orange. I like the base that it gave me. I just adjusted the colors. What I wanted it to be, which was black, red, and darker red type of color. So I really like what it gave me. But as you can see, it's only affecting the layer that's underneath. That threshold layer that we made is still on top. And then once again, I always play around with the blending modes just to see which one might give me the vibe that I'm looking for. If you're looking for a flatter vibe, more vibrant vibe, you know what I'm saying? Now I pretty much grouped the A Boogie layer together, and so it could be all one layer, so I could just adjust it, and like I said, move it back over to the left side so the rectangle can kind of do its thing. Now I put the rectangle back, and I pretty much took the color from what I already had from the gradient map from the A Boogie one, so obviously it matched, and it's in the same limited color palette that we already created. I adjusted the size just a wee bit. Now for the final touches, I really just didn't want to spend too much time on the text, like I said, but I went to Envato Elements. I got this cool font called Astrid. As you guys see, they have glyphs, and if your font has them, you can click on the letter that you want and use all the variations or whatever. So I just kind of adjusted it to give it a little oomph, really, to bring some attractiveness to the typography that I was doing for that. So we just did the A Boogie typography like that. I used the O's. I wanted to use the stars under the O's, and I thought that was cool. And I just put with the hoodie underneath and call it a day, really. I signed it all up, and it looks like a logo type treatment without being too extra. I just do that to the left side and call it a day. I did go and find the High Bridge logo, threw the High Bridge logo up to the left. Like I said, I want to keep it minimal elements. So right now we have the A Boogie logo, the High Bridge logo, and the main image of Boogie, and like a rectangle. That's really it. Like the two main elements of this are the image and the rectangle. So there's only two. Now I went ahead and grabbed the image of the actual High Bridge from New York City, and I just made a few adjustments to that. I just made it black and white. I went ahead and made the level so it's a little bit darker, and then I just put that as a clipping mask into the rectangle, and I went ahead and just play with the blending mode, soft light, and I brought the opacity all the way down, just so you know it's there but it's not there. It gives it like a little bit of separation from the text so it doesn't look so bland. I used that same Astrid's font that I used for the A Boogie logo to create the Better Off Alone tour font as well. Like I said, I adjusted some of the glyphs to make it look better, and then really all I did was go ahead on his website and grab all the tour dates, copied and pasted them, and then just set that to center, and I just put those in on the right side too. In actuality, it'd probably be 2 slides. It'd probably be the main slide where it says Better Off Alone Tour, get your tickets or something like that, and then on the right like carousel, it probably have all the tour dates, or maybe 3 slides because he has a lot of tour dates, so you should actually be able to see them. But if somebody wanted to just quickly click on it, when you click on it on Twitter or something like that, I could have clicked on it and then I could have scrolled and made it enlarged to see what dates he was coming. But like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on like the text and stuff like that, so I just wanted to like show you guys what is possible. And then that's that. I pretty much changed that color to black, and then like I said, so it's a separation so it doesn't get lost in the actual Better Off Alone Tour part. Since that's white, I was like, another contrast would be black. You could have made it white too, but I felt like it would have got lost in the sauce, and I feel like the black is complementary to the actual left side of the graphic as well. And call it a day. Like, this is something real quick. Like I said, if they like, yo, we need to make a quick announcement, this is something, or a quick design that you can go to, a quick effect that you can make to an image that's a little bit step up rather than just using a gradient map or whatever. So like I said, I like it. I think it's pretty dope, pretty clean. If you guys are interested in one-on-one mentorship, I got Only Dope You coming. So click the link in my bio to join the wait list, so you can get informed. I've had a lot of people already hit me up, so I didn't forget about you guys. The email is coming soon. I'm looking to launch at the beginning of September, the beta program. So if you're interested in being in the beta program, hit me up. I'm excited about that. As far as August is concerned, like I said, I made a promise to you guys. I had a lot of family stuff going on during this summer. Like, it just seemed like it was like back to back to back. So I was like, let me just focus on family first, and then I'll get back to where I need to get back to. So I'm blocked in right now. I'm a full-time YouTuber, full-time creator now. But yeah, hit me up on Discord if you guys have any questions. If you have any other questions, make sure y'all comment down below and I'll make sure to get back at you. And like I said, all these project files will be available in the Only Dope You program, so that you guys can follow along and, you know, use some of these presets to your advantage. I feel like these came out pretty good. I feel like minimalist covers really show you that sometimes less is really more. As always, I hope you picked up some new techniques and that you're gonna apply them to your next design. Please go ahead and drop some flame emojis under this video for the kid. Yes, sir. And subscribe so you don't miss a drop, man. And so the algorithm knows it's lit. Remember to keep hustling, keep creating, and most importantly, keep learning. I'm Ali Dope. And until next time, I'm checking out. Yes, sir.